Scanning for life signs. Prepare to be enforced.
Everyone knows XCOM, a turn-based podcast simulator where the haha memes multi-million-dollar last of Spec Ops soldier misses point blank. Except for when you need him to do that so you could get the footage. Back in the yesteryears, I had the original one already pre-installed on a used computer which we had bought. However, my pre-brain mind couldn't get far. I remember giving 15 guys orders to get out of the plane only for them to get massacred. I was a dumb child, and going back to it proves that nothing has changed. But despite being a classic, I think it's fair to say that without the updates of the 2012 remake, the franchise would most likely have been forgotten. I mean, my recording software auto-names XCOM as Wolfenstein 3T. The remake, which re-emerged after a few decades of hibernation, was loads of fun. I used it to quit smoking, and then promptly began again. They streamline things in all the right places and stay true to the core value of the game, that being that no matter how many millions in seasonings you put in a soldier, they will miss point blank, panic and gun down their team, dooming the entire human race as they point the gun at themselves and... However, between the two big boys there was a thin man, XCOM Enforcer. Enforcer is an arcade horse shooter game with upgrades. How did it go from an Excel spreadsheet to a McDonald's running gun? I don't know the why, but Hasbro Interactive, whose dad you know better as the toy maker, cancelled 2 other games just to fund this as the company was going through bankruptcy. XCOM Alliance and FPS, and from where most of the enemy designs were taken at XCOM Genesis, a potential RTS game which I would have loved to see. So no doubt it was shoved out the door just to recoup some losses, but to think that without the remake, Enforcer would have been the franchise's last word. I mean, what a way to go. But hey, I absolutely love upgrade games and genocide simulators alike. It's like crack as you seek the high of making the 5 out of 10 upgrade into a perfect 10 out of 10 by doing meaningless shit for hours like a weltering good boy from the Skinner Institute. Here's hoping for a cheesy classic at least. At the start you get to choose a skin. I'm gonna go with the dead red one so that my edge could cut down my foes even as I sleep. We are told that there's no time for explanations as we are given a few minutes of explanations. In short, aliens invaded and we are a walking Terminator armor with the goal of eradicating the Xenos invaders from Holy Terra. Pretty basic stuff, but that's all we need to know to start shooting. The first thing you'll notice is that everything feels weightless. You're a 2-ton death Terminator and yet you ski about the place like a family sedan taking the kids to the soccer match. And so we float around the corner and we meet our first alien, the Roswell alien, who'll just stand there shooting at you like a turret. No wonder why they have no glutes. Off the bat you get 3 weapons. The starting has infinite ammo, but it's bad. The flamethrower is weak and sad and doesn't allow you to feel like a psychotic lunatic purging Holy Terra from the Xenos. It has really limited range, making it no good. But the buzzer gun is actually good and will be for the whole game. But none of them feel like you're actually hitting the enemy. They kind of just sit there calmly. Occasionally they might blink red, in stern condemnation I presume. The shotgun which comes after these is a disgrace to shotguns. It has a spread wider than the broadest side of a barn. You get unlockable weapons and power-ups which you can then upgrade, but most of the guns don't get much from it and those which do still feel anemic. The rocket launchers start shooting multiple rockets, but if the rockets and their impact are like wet noodles, which at least have that whip splash effect, then it doesn't matter if you quadruple the amount. It's like saying your extra small congenital defect pinky could go all night. That's not a promise. The power-ups are what you would expect them to be: health, speed, damage, a literal singular carpet of bombs, or a score multiplier. But after the first level in the Nevada desert, the goal of every mission is to destroy transporters which endlessly spawn aliens. So I just destroy a few transporters and... 19, are you fucking kidding me? Found a secret. You can find letters which add up to the word bonus, but more on that later. Heh. Or question marks which just unlock new stuff on the upgrade screen. Okay, but hey Talk, Could we maybe buy some oil so that the death robot could see more than ankles? It might not seem like it, and after consulting the friends in my head, I think I might be going crazy, but the camera is angled a bit too low. Just low enough that if you're a moron like me who tries to make characters jump higher by lifting the controller, you'll get a stiff neck trying to look upwards in a 3D game with slopes. The camera is fixed, so you can't change it. The funny thing is that somehow Doom 1 has more verticality. Somehow. Enforcer is made on the Unreal Engine. Luckily the game has auto-aim, although there is a key for professional aim which feels all kinds of off. In the first part of the game, we are on the trail of a flying saucer, and our goal along the way is to exterminate all the Xenos and transporters. So many transporters. Sometimes we also save a few civilians, and you can't kill them, so don't worry about that. No, even if they are screaming. We start in a bougie trailer park. It's here that I managed to collect all the letters. I spotted one out of the corner of my eye just behind the fence. I wondered how to get there, as all the other letters have been in the open, either just behind something or in a box. But this one requires skiing around a bit till I noticed that I could use that car to jump onto the roof ceiling thing, walk all the way around it, and get my first full word. It was fun figuring it out, but sadly this was an isolated experience. The rest of them are gonna be either in the open or locked behind a jump height upgrade, which in normal game is useless. Collecting the letters allows you to enter a bonus level to get extra data points. The bonus levels are mini games, and we have all the classics here. Frogger. Can't be poor if you're dead. Pac-Man. And that one game where you bash boxes. But my favorite is cage fighting. You enter the arena in complete silence, and then you beat them up in a glorious rainfall of money. Picking up cash doesn't feel good. It's like the collision box is the size of a pixel, so you don't get the satisfaction of going whee as you run through it. Then in the next level the aliens box me in and are being really mean to me. It doesn't help that the guns I have at the moment outside of the buster gun are incapable of killing the aliens fast enough, as sometimes there's just randomly way more of them. You can't choose which weapons to use, they spawn at random from all the unlocked ones. But no worries, I now also have the freeze gun, which has to be one of the most useless and boring guns in the game ever. Really bad damage and freezes enemies, allowing you to now box yourself in yourself. It's a landmine, so you can backpedal into freezing your hot streak. Oh yeah, this game has a hot streak system. You increase it by killing and getting hit reduces it. At the end of levels you get extra score and thus more credit. But since the guns often don't do good enough damage and the enemies will hit you due to how this game is made, it's a bit of a bore. And if the enemies can't hit you themselves, then don't worry, you can just do it yourself by boxing yourself in with the freeze gun. Plus, there's no scoreboard, which you would think would be a given. But ooh, do we have a treat. I mean, just look at it. Its nose is poking out. It's a boss fight. Yeah. The circle striping was good enough for Cyber Demon's shiny butt cheeks. It's good enough for this. A literal solid chunk of rock is where he spawned. In the next level, a harbor, there's also a boss, albeit a mini one, who for whatever reason was standing in a fucking broom closet. Was it that hard to give these poor aliens a proper room? Japanese pod hotels have more room, come on now. Then there's a riveting survived for 4 way too long minutes on a boat where I almost turned off the dodge mechanic as it was more dangerous than the enemies themselves. And in the next one I did just that, because the dodge mechanic, which dodges you into stuff you're supposed to dodge, is a bit too ironic. You're supposed to double tap it, but it just kept going off like it's a neurotic cowboy with a twitch in a standoff. Here is also the most bull moment in the game. I walk in, it says I need to protect the civvies, but not the usual kind, no, it's the kind where you have a box in the middle of the room and you need to stop the box from getting beaten. However, the box can be destroyed by sneezing at it. The aliens come from random angles, teleport in randomly, you can't move fast enough, and the weapons shoot blanks. The enemies will flat out ignore you, but when you're running around with the fucking freeze gun, why should they care? In the next level there's a boss who I accidentally killed and I didn't even knew he existed until the end. At this point the individual levels are starting to blur together because there's not a lot here. It reminds me of Newgrounds era Flash games. It has some of that charm. Those games weren't 5+ hours long and a lot of them were better. They were also free. There's a level where the camera angle becomes really bad. You have to find and rescue the civilians, and I was walking up and down in a grid shape because you can't see straight in front of you. Silent Hill fucked less with your vision. Luckily, the dog starts yelling after a bit and the giant arrow appears, but what's weird is that the camera changes in the building, making it one of the weirdest sneeze digits I've encountered. The next level, the mall, is empty and symmetrical on both sides, so I got lost, but this level has me using the grenade launcher, which is awesome. It's fuller auto and has one of the highest ammo pools in the entire game. Sadly, it's short-ranged and weak on damage, but just look at it. Just awesome. Then we get the vibroblade, a literal aeroplane engine with a propeller. Good for small enemies, but anyone slightly tankier and you'll be flying first class into the morgue. The triplet boss fight is here, which is an incredibly cheap boss fight where they throw 3 infinite range hit scanners at you. Luckily the enemy's AI has more brain damage than me, and so they spend most of their fight stuck behind one of the really tall flower beds. Why are they so tall anyway? Yeah, I sat there like a bitch regenerating my life, which is a passive, and meandering around waiting for usable weapons to actually spawn. For some reason, the aliens had a base in the sewers. At least some of them should have nostrils, or dignity. But then we get the best gun in the game, the lightning gun. This is the only gun which has any kind of good feel to it, and it's also really effective. It arcs to enemies, killing them and stunning them. It has a pretty satisfying zip zap boom effect, and for a moment the game is fun as you just run around murdering. But then you settle into a routine again. Get one of the functional weapons, dive-bomb the transporter, ignore everything as you single-mindedly blow up the transporter, and then move on to the next. Rinse and repeat, again and again. You see, the aliens are identical to each other, lacking any sort of individuality. You treat all the melee and ranged aliens exactly the same, like all the other melee and ranged aliens. Ranged boys you ignore as they are just sitting turrets. You'll focus on the melee boys since their AI, standing for absolute idiot, knows only one tactic, and that is beeline bomb rushing towards you, causing you to be boxed in and thus dead from the sheer volume of stupidity. There's no skill involved since they are just fast, and you will get stuck on the collision boxes as you always have less room than you think you have. Because this isn't like Blood, for example, where you can use your movement abilities to jump over enemies if need be. No. You're firmly trapped on the ground and the movement is clunky. You could upgrade your jump height, but that would mean you would be getting something mostly useless instead of getting something cool like a new gun or more damage or health or even an attack drone. You're not in danger since you can soak up damage like you like it, but thus also making tanking the best alternative strategy when meandering about doesn't work, which also makes the streak system feel kinda dumb. And then we take a long ass ride up an elevator to face a boss who shoots homing twinkle twinkle little stars at you, which frees you. The solution is as old as time, circle strafe. Then we're on the roofs, and boy am I glad that I turned dodge off, which didn't stop me from jumping down and seeing that they had actually decorated the street level. Though the middle part is empty, usually it's the other way around, but we catch up to the saucer and it blows up, and to be honest I think this is where the game should have ended, even if there are some interesting levels left. And at this point in the game they have literal time gates, like literally waiting here for 12 seconds till the gate rises so you could destroy the transporter. Why? But there's an interesting boss fight which feels like it's from Duke Nukem, the discount version. Nothing else in the game has this feel to it. There's no Quake body horror or build engine wackiness in the game. Although there are some jokes here and there, that aspect of the game, like the rest of it, is underdeveloped. The boss has a nasty rocket attack and I defeat him by circle strafing, of course. But what gets me is that the exit teleporter is all the way on the other side, and when you kill a boss it bursts into a fountain of cash. And behind that exit is a question mark, but I couldn't get to it because running over pixel-sized loot takes time and my slow ass got swooped away. Dick move. Now I'm so sad that I'm going to the graveyard to mourn the death of my hopes and dreams. The graveyard is, ironically enough, the most dynamic level in the entire game. It has these trapdoors in the crypt, and one must ask, is business that good? They clearly aren't going under anytime soon. But then cornfields because crop circles, which is thematically good, but all it actually means is that the walls are now yellow. This is where I unknowingly re-encountered the boss from a previous mission because they are using retired bosses as really tanky mobs in lieu of actual difficulty. Don't let the appearances fool you, there's actually only 3 enemies, ranged, melee and tank. Them starting to use more and more tanks has a bleed effect on making the anemic guns feel even worse because even the good ones need a moment to kill. So the rest of them feel even more like pea shooters. It feels like you're shooting JPEGs into GIFs with data points. They're what the sound pew pew would be if it were a gun. But as a credit to the game and to the people who were no doubt forced to shit this shit out at record time, I had 0 bugs and glitches except for one where the elevator started janking about. Ironic that the one place they use verticality it janks out. And then the game sends you into a green honeycomb airstrip level thing? When did aliens build those things around the plane? Why was the plane still running when we lifted off? And how exactly were we lifting off? It's not like there's anywhere for the plane to go. But in the next level we're off and it's one of their weirder levels. As for the level, you literally have to ignore everything and bum rush through everything to get to the other side of the plane to protect the cockpit, else it blows up. And then you stand in that spot for 4 minutes as some aliens accidentally wander into your neighborhood so you could do something. The next 5 levels are literal copy-paste of each other. We're in Arctica and everything is white and worn down, and we're building every texture, every tile, and we repeat it for 5 levels. And now the game uses former bosses and tanks so much that I kept running out of ammo and even died a few times since I didn't have a good weapon or the weapon ran out of ammo. The mass driver is your main DPS, which does the best damage in the game. The same can't be said about its purple cousin, which when upgraded blows its load before the beginnings of an iota of the concept of fun could form in your mind. And the bosses are immune to CC, so the lightning gun is not that good either. It leads into a boss fight inside a featureless hangar. We regressed below Wolfenstein 3D at this point. If you were smart and didn't play this on hard, then this will be your last level.
That automaton isn't one of my constructions.
And the boss, the Arachnopod, is an absolute bitch of a fight. All the mistakes which you couldn't have known were mistakes compound here. Did you unlock all the weapons? Well, fuck you, dipshit, here's a freeze gun. Do not invest in speed because you need a damage, eat a rocket. Were you curious and tried to unlock everything and not focus on one thing by magically divining what you'll need? Here's your death certificate, please refer to coffin number 7. Thank you. Expecting a first-time player to know that most of your weaponry is less impactful than a wet noodle, which at least is good at slapping, is dumb. Just look at this damage, and then compare it to the damage of Mass Driver. But good luck actually having it spawn for you. Earlier, I had to spend over half a minute and 3 weapons to take out a few mini-boss mobs. Half a minute for sponges. This game had some good things and the people who worked on it clearly have basic literacy, but god damn, the game makes me want less and less for my money the longer it goes on. However, going back to the boss, its rockets are slightly random. You need to go in a circle or you'll get shot. But you're not fast enough, so you'll still get shot. Or maybe not. Yes? You won't. Yes. If you reverse, the mini-aliens will either hop on your ass or just block you and you'll eat a rocket. And the weapons spawn slightly behind you, so good luck with that. Finally, the witch is dead. Never absolutely fucking again. Now, shower me with that I can't even. One last level before the grand finale. I wanted to fill in the gaps and upgrade my stuff, but for some odd reason I got no credit from that last boss. Funny that.
Scanning for life signs. Professor, state location. Life signs detected. Critical.
Enforcer, it's good to see you. But I'm afraid you're too late, my friend. I was performing some routine scans of the galaxy when
Wait, Doc, you were scanning the entire galaxy?
shooting up the place, destroying everything.
And then they swatted you?
I've already keyed the ship's coordinates into the teleportation platform.
Wait, you've had a teleporter all this time? You mean you could have just beamed a nuke onto the alien ship on day one, but instead you sent a Terminator with data issues on a sightseeing tour around the world? I can now understand why you were defunded by the Insert Global Defense Alliance name here. The final level. I've upgraded some stuff with some good loot from the previous level, and I'm ready to negotiate with the alien upper management. And to be fair, this is one of the most fun levels in the game. So the game ends on a relative banger. You get to use the nuker, which is an awesome weapon. The lightning gun sips and saps everyone dead. The environments are something nice and fresh. There's even a set piece where the bridge goes boom and environmental traps. It's clear that some effort was put here, especially compared to the previous 4 levels of the exact same texture. They drop a weakened arachnopod, but Time for the final boss. The High Ethereal, who's floating high off his own fumes. The boss is much easier than the previous arachnopod. This fight has an actual arena. This is also the only place in the game where you should use the manual aim, the professional aim, to help you destroy the 3 shield generators so you could kill the floating broom handle. Time to commence the ancient bunny dance. There are these speedy fuckers who are really fast and can screw you over. Bunny hopping seems to do something because, thanks to that, I didn't get my butt cheeks mauled off. This fight suffers from the same issues as the previous fight in that the weapons spawn behind you, but the circle is so long that the weapons literally vanish in front of you by the time you get back to them.
What? A being like myself? Defeated by this useless, brainless, man-made...
Bye-bye, my bucket fuck. We're taking our business elsewhere.
Damn you, creature! You and your miserable planet! Damn you!
All in all, a much better fight, and it really makes you wonder why they added those Arctic levels to get that nice 40 level on the back of the jacket. Dunno, but this game could have been half the length and it would have been better for it. Even Doom starts fun and gets to be a chore by the end of it, and Doom has death. And that was Enforcer. It's clear that this game was pushed out way before it was ready, considering that games like Half-Life and Serious Sam had already come out, along with Doom, which established the bare minimum on how weapons and monsters should feel. It could not be called a good game. And with this being an XCOM game, it's really not good. Which is sad because there were some distant hints of good stuff here. But hey, at least they were ahead of the times with the shotgun having 4 barrels.